Draw. Howdy everyone, I'm Mark Vasconcelos. Welcome to another episode of Enchantments. Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, Jesse James, Billy the Kid. You know these names, and I'm sure every one of us has played a Wild West character at one time or another in our lives. Well, I found a great group of folks who have dedicated themselves to preserving the legacy of these gunslingers and the machinery that tamed the Wild West. The single-action revolver, the rifle, and the shotgun. Welcome to the End of Trail Cowboy Action Shooting World Championships. Now, many of you are probably thinking that this looks like a movie set for a Wild West feature film, but it isn't. These folks are the modern-day real deal. Just east of Albuquerque, on the edge of the Cibola National Forest, lies the Founders Ranch, which is home to the Single Action Shooting Society. Each June, members of the SASS and the public are invited to a 4-day end-of-trail world competition and Wild West festival, which draws more than 1,000 authentically dressed competitors from all over the world. This Western U.S. tradition is dedicated to preserving the history of the Old West and offers the finest traditional Wild West entertainment and activities for the entire family to enjoy.
SAS is the Single Action Shooting Society. It's a 25-year-old membership organization that was created in Southern California by a bunch of guys that decided to take the shooting action sports and give it a Western twist.
Can anybody join?
Anybody can join SAS. It's open to men, women, children, sons, daughters, granddaughters. It's open to anybody that's interested in the Old West or interested in shooting the guns of the Old West.
How many people do you have signed up so far?
We just surpassed 75,000 members worldwide. And and the end is not in sight. It continues to grow at a rapid pace. We're in fact the fastest growing shooting sport in the world.
The SASS sponsors different shooting events throughout the state of New Mexico or countrywide. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we have 500 affiliated clubs all over the world, and in New Mexico alone, there's probably close to a dozen. And so we support them. They follow the SAS rules. We sponsor their different events. There's a lot of the clubs have a monthly match where people come out and shoot, and most of them have one annual match. But also, there's 50 state championships. There's 9 regional events. There's a national championship that takes place in Phoenix every March. And of course, there's End of Trail, the World Championship. So it's a very structured shooting program that takes it from a monthly gathering to some pretty heavy competition.
Tell me a little bit about the End of Trail event.
Well, End of Trail started about 25 years ago in Coto de Caza, California. And I think that first match had about 18 shooters. Well, since then, we have surpassed 1,000 shooters at our event here, and it's turned into a Western festival, you know. And we've got people from all over the world. There's a contingent of Italians that were here this year, New Zealanders, Australians. I mean, the list goes on. And it's just the history of America's Old West is spreading like wildfire.
I know the Wild West was such an integral part of the U.S. history. Why do you think this lifestyle is just like spreading all over the globe right now?
Well, it's a relaxed type of lifestyle, the freedom, the cleanliness of the air, the non-congested part of the country. It's just really great to be here.
It's a chance for people that weren't associated with the United States to actually relive a part of our history, right?
Well, yeah, we have people from Australia and other foreign countries coming to shoot with us and participate, Germany and all around, and it's great to come and play Billy the Kid, Bat Masterson, and everybody involved.
Now, what kind of advice would you give to anybody who wants to get into competition shooting or the SASS?
Just look up the Single Action Shooting Society on the internet, and we'd be delighted to have juniors or anybody interested and help them shoot and loan them equipment to do so.
How's the competition this year?
Oh, it was a great time. I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot from some really great shooters out here. It's a big family event.
How long you been shooting?
Well, I joined SAS in 2000, right when I got out of the Marine Corps, and really started off as a convention. I've only been really shooting for a couple of years now. Everyone here is willing to show you all the tricks that they know, or all the little secrets to save time. When you're competing, it's one big family.
Do you have any advice for people that want to get into this kind of sport?
Be thick-skinned, because the people here like to needle you a lot, but it's all in fun. Listen to what they have to say. A lot of these guys have been shooting for a long time. Other shooting disciplines, they have a lot to teach you, and they're willing to teach you. So just listen to what they have to offer.
Some people call me Little Gunslinger. It's my alias around here.
And how old are you?
15, turning 16 in July.
How long have you been shooting?
About a half a year. I'll be in July a whole year, but I don't shoot that much.
And what got you interested in this competition or sport?
At first I wasn't that interested. I was mostly just, staying at home, and then my grandparents got me interested, and now I'm hooked.
Do you kind of try and recruit some of your friends and get them into the sport and show them how great this sport is?
Yes, I do. I do.
And what kind of advice would you have for any other girls that are kind of on the young side to get into the sport?
Try it. You might not like it at first, but when you start getting into it, you'll like it.
34.95 and clean. 34.95 and clean. Nice shoot.
And how long have you been associated with this event?
This will be my 14th end of trail on the run, and I never get tired of it. We travel all the way from Australia to come to this event, and we really love coming to it. It's just the best.
That is great. So what is your real name, if I may ask, and what is your daytime job?
Well, my real name is Damien Faith, and my daytime job is that, fortunately, I'm retired now, so I can play cowboy as often as I like.
That's great.
It's a thrill to come fly here, because it's this. You take off and it's fast, and you're flying fast, and you're landing fast, and it's exciting because you have all your other peers around you, and they're all having a great time flying.
Pork chops! Get your pork chops! Turkey legs!
Woo! My lips are tingling and my nose is running, and it's all because of you. All right. Is my microphone on? Am I rolling? Yeah. All right. Gotta love the color. Give me your best duck imitation. Quack, quack. There you go.
So we'll be up here for 24 hours, basically, staying up, cooking, and keeping her going.
What keeps you going?
Bud Light.
Well, I think I found some evidence. Let me introduce you to my friend. It's not draw. How many different shooting competitions do you say you'd have at End of Trail?
Well, the way it's set up, there's different shooting categories. For instance, you have duelist categories where you shoot with one hand. You have black powder shooting categories where you shoot black powder cartridges, or the old-time cap and ball. And then there's different, like traditional and ladies and modern. And you have different costume categories like classic cowboy and B. Western. And you'll see the old button-down shirts, and you'll see people who are dressed up like Gene Autry and Roy Rogers and that sort of thing. So there's really categories for everybody. And there's also the mounted shooting, which is based on different levels of capabilities, starting with level 1 being the beginner, all the way to a level 5, who is a very experienced horseman that really takes it to the very, very edge.
What's the biggest challenge shooting from horseback?
Keeping up with the horse and trying to hit everything.
What kind of guns and ammunition do you guys use from horseback?
There's different types of guns, but what I use is the Rugers, and they're 45 caliber.
What's the biggest challenge shooting from horseback?
One of them's staying on the horse, the other one's hitting the balloons at the same time as you're staying on the horse, so it's kind of a combination.
And what kind of firearms are you using for this competition?
I've got Colt single-action armies. They're third-generation Colts. They're all 45 Colt caliber. The match director supplied the blanks, so everybody's got the same things, and it's just burning powder embers break the balloons. Match director supplies the ammo so that they have control over no projectiles being in the ammunition.
What kind of advice would you give to people or kids in general that want to get into this kind of competition shooting?
Learn how to ride, and learn how to be safe with guns. And if you can ride and shoot, then you got it all licked.
So how long you been shooting and riding?
Well, I've been riding since I was 3, and I started doing mountain shooting since I was 10.
Have you been in any other competitions before this?
Yeah, just ground shooting on local matches and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I started when I was 7.
Wow. How do you feel you did in your competition this week?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah, good.
It's not easy shooting from horseback, huh?
Not really, but once you get it, then it'll be easier.
They say practice makes perfect. In cowboy action shooting, anyone can perfect their aim and their speed. As you can see, all it takes is some dedication, practice, and a desire to compete. Now, who actually comes up with the shooting scenarios?
Well, every year the owners of SAS, which are known as the Wild Bunch, sit down around a table and we come up with ideas, and usually we do themes. This year's theme happened to be gunfighters. And we were fortunate to have a fellow by the name Bob Bosbell write a book called Classic Gunfights. Right. He's also the owner of True West Magazine. And we asked Bob if he would lend us a handful of stage scenarios that we would base our shooting stages around. In past years, we used John Wayne movies, for instance. Mm-hmm. So we'll pull, scenes from True Grit and Rooster Cogburn, and we would, and you have to say lines, and so they're all based on whether they're history instances or they're movie themes, and we get really, really creative, and then we design the sets behind them. So you'll see this one happened to have a lot of things to do with trains, and so we built a little mock train you might see back there, and every year we make it different to make it interesting for the shooters.
Now, once someone joins the SASS, does that allow them to join in the competition shooting right away?
Absolutely, yeah. And you could become a SAS member and start shooting the monthly matches. As a matter of fact, you could shoot monthly matches without becoming a SAS member to get yourself acclimated. But when you get into the championship programs, where the state championships and above, you have to be a SAS member. And with a little bit of practice, you can pretty much shoot any match you want. You get a lot of help from the people that are here. You don't have to be an accomplished shooter. You just need to understand the safety rules. Right. Get out there and do your best.
Speaking of safety rules, how safe is this event since you guys are using live ammunition?
We've never had a shooting accident in cowboy action shooting in its 25-year history. And one of the reasons is that, the shooting sports are safe by nature because of, you're shooting in shooting bays, you're shooting at targets that deflect bullets downwards. And we have a very stringent safety program. We stress safety, eye protection, ear protection, and muzzle location. Never sweep anybody with a loaded or unloaded gun. Always treat a gun as if it's loaded. Whenever you pick up a gun, you check to see if it's loaded, and you always keep that muzzle down range. And then we also have training programs, which we call range officer programs, an RO1 course, an RO2 course, and thousands and thousands of our members have taken this course.
When the shooter completes the stage, most of them, we have a couple that have shot it from back here, they're down range at the barrel. I'd like somebody on the posse standing here and don't let anybody pull those guns out until they get back to the firing line here.
There are very strict safety codes in force on all of the stages that we shoot here, and we have a loading table supervisor that ensures that the guns are loaded correctly, and we also have an unloading table supervisor that takes care of that and ensures that once they leave the range, all guns are unloaded and cleared.
The timing and judging for each posse on each stage, you have 4 principal players. The first is the timer operator, which is actually running the stage. His or her sole purpose is to safely assist the shooter through the course of fire. That means that he's holding the clock, he's watching the muzzle direction, he's keeping everything on a safe, even keel. Then you have 3 spotters. They are watching the targets for misses. That's their sole purpose, is to watch for misses. The timer operator uses the clock that is activated by him while pushing a button. It records all shots. It continuously runs, but the display records the last shot fired.
4, 8, 5, 9, and 1 little handgun got away. 4, 8, 5, 9, and 1.
That time observed by the timer operator, he gives that as a raw time to the scorekeeper. Then he polls the 3 spotters for misses. For each miss, it's an additional 5 seconds added to the time. That's all recorded in the scorekeeper's book. When there is a penalty involved, such as wrong sequence shot or safety violation with the muzzle of the gun or something of that sort, that's an extra 10 seconds that's added to the score. The score sheets go to the scorekeepers in the scoring building. It's fed into the computer. The computer does all of the calculations, and then it's posted nightly after each day's shoot, and then it's final tallied. That's kind of kept a little bit secret until the award ceremony, where it comes out with the fastest time, which means you have the lowest score number, that's the winner.
How long you been shooting?
Well, about a year.
A year, really?
Yes, sir.
And what age range are you in?
I'm in the junior, which is 14 to 16 years old.
Was this your first time at End of Trail?
Yes, sir, it is.
And how do you like it?
It's a lot of fun. I've had a good time. Sad about going home, though.
Met a lot of nice folk, huh?
Sure have.
And how's the shooting been going?
It's pretty good. Been fair. Yesterday I had a real good day, but
What's the biggest challenge when it comes to shooting competitions?
I'd say the mental part of it, keeping your head together and just shooting straight.
Keeping cool.
Besides the shooting that's going on in the bays over here, we have over 100 vendors of Old West accoutrements and clothing and leather and what have you. And we have the best of the Old West entertainment that this country has to offer. And what's interesting about the vendors that we have, you'll see women's dresses and you'll see clothing that's made by hand. It's a new cottage industry where people are actually recreating the leather holsters of the Old West, and it's very rare to find this amount of these types of products in one area. So End of the Trail, is taken as a takeoff from the trail drives of the Old West days. When the Cowboys got to the end of the trail, they had the money in their pocket, they just got paid, and they would come into town to Dodge City to spend their money on all the wares and buy new saddles, and that's what this is all about.
Now, Miss Peaches O'Day, why would you walk into this bar when you know it's full of beer drinking, poker playing gunslingers?
Well, it's full of people like you. You see, I make gentlemen my career. Short of diamonds, that is.
What is your most thrilling thing when you're up on that stage?
Well, I have to say the eyeballs of the admirers.
Now, can I come up and see you sometime?
Certainly, I'll tell your fortune or something.
I like the something. What other attractions do you guys have going on here?
Well, there's T.C. Thorstensen with his buffalo, Harvey Wallbanger, and he comes riding through town on this 2,500-pound buffalo, ending up the show jumping through a ring of fire. And I don't think that you can get any more exciting than having a buffalo jump through a ring of fire.
How about that?
There's also some of the best entertainers in the world in the Old West. We had Junie Fisher here, Kip Kaplan was here, Joe Bowman, a gun spinner, was here. We have Bob Munden, who's the fastest gun who ever lived, demonstrating his accuracy. We've got rope makers and gold panners and Indian teepees and just everything you can think of that happened in an Old West town. We try to recreate it here.
Joey, I hear you hold a few titles. What are they?
3-time world champion, gun gunslinger and a couple of regular championships as well.
So you're actually kind of a gun for hire, just to kind of go out and do shows. And
modern day gunslinger. That's what I do around the country, sometimes out of the country, but full time. I don't have any other job.
Now, how did you fall into this?
I grew up out in the boonies. My dad was always watching Western movies, so I started playing with a toy gun at a young age and worked my way up to the 22 to the 45 and in and out of the holster stuff, and then just decided to see where I could take it.
Where would you practice when you're learning how to do all this stuff?
I would practice either in a grass yard and at certain points doing the over-the-shoulders. I wore a helmet because I was paranoid of hitting myself in the back of the head.
Obviously, you want to put out a good message towards guns and their safety, and that they can be a viable sport.
Absolutely, with the gun safety, there's a lot of people that just the mention of it turns them off, and if I can portray a positive role model to the kids and a positive way of handling a gun that's unloaded and checking it, making sure kids know never to touch them except with an adult, make sure it's unloaded, safe to handle, I think that's more important.
What is the draw to the lifestyle of the Wild Wild West?
It's simple. It's the history. It's the attachment to this culture, you know. If America ever had a culture, it's the Old West. You know, when you pick up an old Colt in your hand, you realize that you have this piece of Americana, you know, this mechanical piece of Americana in your hands. And when you bring your children here, you know, a handshake meant something, your word means something. And one of the main goals is Western preservation, preserving our Old West history. And we got an opportunity to do that because, you know, when you put on events like this, you can go to any one of these vendors over here and you'll see an old leather maker, ask him about it, and he'll tell you who made the finest leather back when and why they did it and what they used. And so they're sharing that again, and that right there in itself is preserving the Old West. When you see these women here making patterns for the old dresses, they're studying, they're going back and they're pulling up the books, the history books, to find out what was there. You know, guys who want to, you know, be a cattle baron, they'll go and they'll study the Chisholm Trail, you know, or the Charlie Goodnight Loving Trail, and and by the sheer fact that they go back and they study that history and they bring it here to an event and they share it with other people, that's Western preservation, and that's what we do.
Little buckaroo, your cowboy day is through.
The end of Trail is Americana at its finest, and we had a blast, pardon the pun, with everyone we met here. Whether it was a doctor, lawyer, teacher, mechanic, or janitor, we never really knew who we were speaking to in modern day terms. But we did know everyone was very interesting, very hospitable, and a fun character from the true Wild West.
It's getting late.
The Wild West is an integral part of American history. And thanks to folks like the Single Action Shooting Society, anyone these days can live the Wild West lifestyle and help preserve our unique history. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next episode of Enchantments. And remember, reduce, reuse, recycle, and keep the homeland clean and green. Let's head home, Pete.
Hey, dude, look.
If you enjoyed this episode of Enchantments, please visit our website and order yourself a DVD copy of the show. You can also gift a copy to your local library, local school, or senior center.